Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. Welcome to Week 14 of the 2025 NFL season. We just got done with the Thanksgiving weekend football action. A lot of surprise games happened last week that made a few statements, and will really shaped it for the rest of the season and possibly who could get in and who could be left out in the cold. Well, before I dive into Week 14, I'll go back what I did last week. We had a full slate of games. Give you my take, a little brief synopsis of them, and then we'll dive into the new week. For Week 13, 9-7, and I started off rough. The 4 games on Thursday, Friday for Thanksgiving, I lost them all. I was looking at like, oh, great, here we go. We're just going to scrap them all. And then the early games on Sunday, I was doing quite well. It was the late afternoon games I lost, and then I just won the rest. So it was a hodgepodge of games that really shocked everyone. And let's just dive right in. On Thanksgiving, where Green Bay visited Detroit. Of course, I picked Detroit. The Packers went in there and made a very decent game where Love matches his career high with 4 touchdown passes. Jared Goff had 2 of his own, as Green Bay was able to outduel Detroit 31-24 to keep the tradition of the Lions losing on Thanksgiving. The other Thanksgiving classic, the Cowboys playing at home against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And this was a very stoic game. Fourth quarter fireworks were just abundantly clear in this one, and it was just continued to impress that Mahomes kept doing fourth down magic to keep the Chiefs going and try to make it in there. But Dak Prescott had his MVP-style numbers of over 320 yards passing with 2 touchdowns, as the Cowboys were able to hold on and beat the Chiefs 31-28, questioning the Chiefs' ability to make the playoffs for the first time in a few seasons. Joe Burrow returned to the fold on Thursday night as he went down to Baltimore to take on their division rivals. And Joe Cool was dominant in this game, regardless of being rushed around, getting knocked down. But Baltimore had 5 turnovers that led to the Bengals winning 32-14 and making Cincinnati only 2 games back of Baltimore for the division. Let that one sink in. Then the Black Friday game in Philadelphia between the Eagles and the Bears, the 2 division leaders. I mean, it's shocking for me, being a Bears fan, to say that they're a division leader. And the Bears actually had 2 100-yard rushers in this game. Maigia and Swift both have over 100 yards on the ground. Caleb Williams looked very good, very comfortable in this offense. The offensive line was doing what it could against that Philadelphia front, as Chicago dominated Philadelphia. It wasn't a huge win by any moment, but they physically dominated them with the rushing attack and beat them 24-15, making the Bears the number 1 seed right now in the NFC. And more to that reason why here in a bit. On Sunday, of course, the 49ers and Brock Purdy, not very good numbers, but were able to beat the Browns 26-8. Jacksonville goes to Tennessee. Trevor Lawrence had almost 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Jacksonville went to the 3rd straight victory, beating the Titans 25-3. The Texans go to Indianapolis, and the Texans corralled the Colts, made that offense inept, even though Taylor only had 85 yards on the ground. And C.J. Stroud had no pass touchdowns, and he had 1 turnover. But the Texans beat the Colts 20-16, putting the Jaguars on top of the AFC South. And I call for Houston. Miami play host to New Orleans, and Akin actually had a very good rushing attack, over 130 yards on the ground with a touchdown that led the Dolphins past the Saints 21-17. The Falcons came in with Kirk Cousins. I figured it'd be too much for Atlanta, especially B.J. Robinson in the backfield. But once again, I keep forgetting about Kirk Cousins. It was a showdown between two mediocre teams. It's in the bottom of the league. The Jets able to battle back, and Nick Folk, hit a 56-yard game-winning field goal. There we go. To edge out the Falcons, 27-24. Give me start my next string of losses. Arizona, Tampa Bay. I was given to Arizona, was unsure of Tampa Bay's health, but I would surmise that if Baker was actually going, Tampa Bay would win, but I went with Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals because they played extremely well, but once again, just fell short, 20-17. I think a game that almost everyone lost was when the Rams went to Charlotte, as the Panthers, once again, punching above their weight class, knocked off the Rams 31-28. Minnesota headed to Seattle. Unfortunately, injuries have been playing hugely in the Minnesota quarterback realm, so it just kind of led the offense to be very inept, and Sam Darnold had no quarrels beating his former team 26-0. Buffalo heading to Pittsburgh, and Buffalo's actually running a lot. I mean, Josh Allen set the career mark for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. He also threw for a touchdown. James Cook had very good running as well, over 140 yards on the ground, as the Bills dominated the Steelers 26-7. Sparker rumors of Tomlin's demise in Pittsburgh. The Raiders head to SoFi, take on the Chargers. Wasn't much. I mean, Geno Smith actually had a decent game, had 2 passing touchdowns. Herbert also had 2 touchdowns as well. Also had a hand injury to go on top of that. But the Chargers were able to get past the Raiders 31-14. The Broncos and Commanders battling it out Sunday night was a little bit closer than I think a lot of people realized. Jason Daniels, once again, still being injured, but Marcus Mariota actually being very good at his backup role and filling quite nicely in this offense. Kept charging away with Washington, even though, Denver jumped out early with a halftime lead 13-7, but they just kept bounding along. In the overtime, where the Broncos were quickly to score the touchdown, and then Mariota drove, actually got a touchdown on top of that, but decided to go for the win and 2 points, and that's where Nick Bonito blocked a 2-point pass. That sealed the victory for Denver to continue their winning ways, moving them to 10-2 in the season. Then the Giants went up to Foxborough, and Drake May continuing to push his MVP numbers forward, having over 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he looks phenomenal in New England right now. And a lot of them kind of look at it as a second coming of Tom Brady, and that's scary. I mean, especially with Vrabel now being the head coach. And that game actually had a very funny incident when the Giants tried to kick a field goal and the kicker kicked the dirt 6 inches in front of the ball. So anything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Giants, and they ended up falling hard 33-15. There you go, 9-7. Very comical week. Dive into week number 14. We do not have a full slate. The last of the bye weeks are here. Carolina, New England, the Giants, and 49ers are all off this week. Kick things off Thursday night, heading back to Detroit. The pair of Thanksgiving hosts will now collide as the Cowboys come visit to Detroit. And this one is going to be something to watch out for, because Dallas is on a 3-game winning streak, especially beating last year's Super Bowl participants. And Detroit right now is struggling. Losing to Minnesota, losing to Philadelphia, overtime win against the Giants, losing to Green Bay. They're in free fall right now. And it's unfortunately because Detroit has a good team that just seemed to be falling apart in the wrong time frame. Last year they had that great, of course, had that great team, but just failed in the playoffs. But I don't know what's possibly going wrong with them. Dak Prescott, once again, is having an MVP-style number with over 200 passing, 25 touchdowns, 8 picks. Williams goes out of backfield for over 950, 8 touchdowns. You have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb really stepping up, being some key 1-2 punch for that receiving core for Dallas. For Detroit, Goff over 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 5 picks. Jabari Gibbs comes out of the backfield over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. Hutchinson is a main focal point. That defense is 8.5 sacks. And the Dallas defense is actually starting to improve now that they finally developed schemes to take away from the loss of Parsons, gain some other pieces through trade to really boost that defense up in a way they've been dominating these the past two teams, especially the Eagles and Chiefs. Doesn't bode well for Detroit. That's going to cause a lot of issues with Detroit because you got to deal with this defense that's been really hammering things. And if you look at this past few games, besides the game against Washington in the past 5 games, they have not been impressive. Yeah, they're 2-3. They could be 1-4 in these games. Some of these games, they could actually have won that game. I mean, they only lost 3 to Minnesota, 7 to the Eagles, 7 to the Packers. Something's just not going right. And right now, the Cowboys are just flying high. Analytics, anywise, loves Detroit at 62%. The line is in favor of Detroit at 3.5. The momentum is with the Cowboys right now. As much as I hate to say it, Dallas is going to make a run. Now, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but they're definitely going to make things interesting. I don't know if it's going to be about anything else. I mean, sooner or later, this train will derail. That's just the Cowboy way. But I don't see them slowing down yet. Like I said, there's a lot of issues right now in Detroit. I don't know what's happening with this team. Maybe this is the game they need to really kickstart the final push, the fourth quarter drive, shall we say. But I'm taking the Cowboys in what would be an upset. And Sunday we head to hot Atlanta where the Falcons play host to the Seahawks, and Atlanta is just, I don't know, it's kind of in free fall. Kirk Cousins is back in control, but yet the team is not responding well with him at the helm. Seattle has just been pretty dominant. I mean, he had that game against the Rams a couple weeks ago when they only lost by 2. So, but otherwise, they have been pretty much dominant. The defense is almost a mimic of the old Legion of Boom defense. I mean, they had a shutout last week. Notes Minnesota was on like their 4th-string quarterback, but still. Even with Sam Darnold being questionable, I don't see any slowing down with the Seahawks offense or defense. I'm sure Kirk Cousins will make a game of it. B.J. Robinson should be up there. He's almost a 1,000-yard rusher himself. You have a dual-head running attack with Seattle with Walker leading the charge. So there are some issues, yeah, but I like Seattle a little bit better. Analytics like them too at 62%. The line right now is at 7.5. I'll probably take Atlanta for the points, mainly because of the questionable aspect of Sam Darnold because of his ankle. So I'll give because of that question mark, I'll probably give Atlanta the slight edge in the points. They might lose by 6, but I'm still taking Seattle for the win to continue their rush and get their 10th win of the season. Now, Cincinnati will head to the Plains of Western New York, and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen will collide once again in an epic showdown. Now, Josh Allen's going to be a dual threat quarterback. Just the type of guy you really have to watch out for. And Buffalo's offense needs to be consistent, and that's part of the problem we've had in these past couple of weeks. Been very inconsistent. I mean, Miami, they just got decimated. Dominated Tampa Bay, got corralled by the Texans. Rough shot over Pittsburgh. I mean, pick what you're going to do and stick with it, and that's part of the problem with Buffalo right now. They can't stay consistent. For Cincinnati, resurgence with Joe Burrow back in charge, knocking off their divisional foe, Baltimore. I have a huge game ahead of them with Buffalo. A lot of question marks right now with this team, especially with Kincaid being questionable with a hamstring. But if they continue that rushing attack they did against Pittsburgh in this one, it should be all right. Joe Burrow will find ways around, especially Bosa right now is questionable. He should be able to play. He was a major factor last week. And right now, analytics likes Buffalo at 64%. The line has it at 6.5. I'll push for Cincinnati for the points because of Joe Burrow being back there. We'll definitely make this a game. Even though it's going to be December, Western New York, lakefront. I mean, you're sure you're going to have some cold weather to kind of dominate, but I think Cincinnati should be able to adapt and play in this game. But I do think Buffalo, if they can continue and mimic what they did against Pittsburgh, that's all they have to do. Mimic wins against Pittsburgh. Run the ball. Short passes. Run the ball. And there so often, a deep throw to keep the defense guessing. But if they can mimic what they do against Steelers, Buffalo should have no problems. But I will take Cincinnati for the points. Then we had the Cleveland, where the Browns play host to the Titans. The Titans going to make this a game, just because of just how they kind of seem to be lately. I mean, Jacksonville was a moot point, but you saw what they get against the Chargers, the Texans, and the Seahawks. Barely lost those games. I mean, they still lost. And don't get me wrong, Houston was probably the closest one where they lost at the last second. And Cleveland's been kind of hit and miss. Shedeur Sanders got his first win. We played the Chargers a couple weeks ago. But last week, it fell flat. You still got Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders as the starter. Cleveland, it's kind of hard to see which direction this team's going to go. But when you have Myles Garrett and his 19 sacks, you tend to give him a little more credence. Analytics, a little even, 52% in favor of Cleveland. The line has it, the Browns at 4.5. I'm only taking Cleveland because they're the home team. And Myles Garrett. There's no reason why. The two reasons right there, Myles Garrett and they're home. If they were Nashville, I might go with Tennessee. But, yeah, Browns. Then we have Washington head over to Minnesota in a very unique showdown. Because if you look at Washington, they've been playing decent the past couple weeks. Yeah, they lost the past two games in overtime. Got blown up by Detroit and Seattle and Kansas City. But during those two overtime losses, the team looked like they were starting to find their rhythm with Mariota. Now, Jason Daniel comes back. That changed the entire aspect of this team because now you have this individual that has a little bit more flexibility. I mean, he slided to come back December 7th, but we'll see how that plays out. And with Minnesota, it's a hodgepodge right now with this team. J.J. McCarthy is questionable with concussion. Also slided to come back on the 7th. Like I said, they're on like their fourth quarterback, it seems like. Offensive-wise, they've only had 6 points in 2 games. This offense is in disarray right now. And you know what? I don't know about this team. Analytics likes Washington at 51%. The line has it at 1.5. This is the pick'em game. I'm going to take Washington Just because Mariota looks like he's about poised to get a victory finally, and I think this is a team that they can do it against. Then you got Miami heading up to New York to battle the Jets and a AFC East clash between these two. Tagovailoa is actually having a decent numbers, somewhat. Over 2,000 yards, over 2,200 yards passing, but 17 touchdowns and 14 picks. But if you notice that they're starting to change a bit, Atkins actually produced more with that over 1,000 yards so far this season, 6 touchdowns. Look what he did last week. Big focal point for the team. And if Miami continues this trend, it's going to be very hard to stop them. For the Jets, I mean, Bryce Hall needs to be more of a factor in this offense. He only has 800 yards, 3 touchdowns. Can Justin Fields contribute, or did he go somewhere else? And it is frustrating with this Jets team because they've had some talent and they've had some wins. I mean, they got that great win last week against Atlanta with that last second field goal by Falk. You see Miami right now running off 3 in a row, 4 in the last 5. And Miami used to be the dumpster fire with, no direction where they were going. The fire department was trying to fight a fire with no water, so just spreading gasoline over the dumpster. And all of a sudden, the momentum's changed in Miami. Now, do I think they have the drive to make it to the playoffs? No. There's too many good teams ahead of them. They'll have other races that really kind of factor in. But if they could catch teams in the wrong time frame, they can make things interesting. Right now, the line's in favor of Miami at 54%. That's the analytics. The line's at 2.5. I have no issue with neither one of these. I do think Miami is going to escape New York with the W to continue their surprise run. Then we head to Tampa Bay, where the Saints come to town in a NFC South showdown. And, the Bucs right now have a half-game lead over Carolina because Carolina's off this week. So to get this win, they'll have a full game, and they'll be sitting pretty. And the Saints have gone away from Rattler, went to Bong, and it's just not producing anything different for him. Baker, 2,600 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. White coming out of the backfield over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Ibuka as his primary receiver, almost 800 yards, 6 touchdowns. But there's just too many issues with that Saints offense to really be a major factor in this game. Right now, analytics agree. 73% favor of Tampa Bay. The line's at 8.5. I have no question in either one of these. Baker is just going to put it in the oven. Now time to head to Jacksonville for a clash between AFC South teams. Both of them are 8-4. Technically right now, Jacksonville has the tiebreaker advantage over Indy. And here they're about to collide again. Daniel Jones having a great year, 3,000-plus yards passing, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. Taylor comes in that backfield. MVP numbers, over 1,200 yards on the ground, 15 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, right now, on a good streak, over 2,600 yards in the air, 16 touchdowns, 11 picks. Ed Nate Jr., over 800 yards on the ground, 5 touchdowns. I mean, he saw the past couple of games that Jackson doing. The past 3 games, they've kept winning. They had that collapse in Houston where they coughed it up in the fourth quarter, and C.J. Stroud and the Texans were able to come back and beat them. Change the whole aspect. But then knock off the Chargers. Overtime win against the Cardinals. Dominant win against the Titans. And taking on a Colts team who've lost 3 of the last 4 games and struggled in that one victory and went in overtime. And this is a long part of the year for them to find issues. Now, I do think the Jaguars defense are going to have issues trying to contain Taylor. And that's going to be a key factor. Jones is starting to lose some of his luster a little bit, but he's still going to be a very competent quarterback to try to wrangle in. But can the Jaguars maintain this momentum they got going? Right now, the ball's in their court. Analytics likes the Colts at 55%. The line's at 2.5 in favor of Indy. I like Jacksonville in this matchup. I think being at home, getting in front of this crowd, if they can really force mistakes by Daniel Jones, get a few interceptions, try to limit the damage Jonathan Taylor poses coming out of the backfield, that speaks advantages to the Jaguars. If they can maintain momentum and don't have a Houston collapse, they should be all right. But I like the Jaguars at home. Now we head to Baltimore. Well, once again, two teams tied at the top of the division collide to see who takes the lead. Right now, Baltimore has the advantage, and both teams are 6-6. Who realize you'll probably win this division being 9-8. That should be Tomlin's wet dream right there, because that seems to be his thing, just barely having a winning season. But he has winning seasons. But this should be an interesting matchup between Rodgers and Jackson. Rodgers right now over 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. Lamar over 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 picks. King Henry for the Ravens over 900 yards on the ground, 10 touchdowns. Warren over 600 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns for the Steelers. We've seen kind of what they've done the past couple of weeks. Steelers have lost 3 of the last 4 games. Baltimore got shocked by a returning Joe Burrow, but it's after Lamar came back and rattled off 4 straight wins. It's time for them to get back on that winning track and take on the Steelers team that's struggled immensely. Now, the past couple weeks, Mason Rudolph has been in there. But for Buffalo, Aaron Rodgers did play, but he was a little bit limited. That thing is going to be a key factor. Even I think he had like a broken nose as well against the Buffalo. So there's some things to kind of worry about with this Ravens defense coming after Aaron Rodgers and really testing his toughness. Right now, analytics likes Baltimore 66%. The line is in favor of Baltimore at 7. I have no quarrels with neither one of these. I think Baltimore is going to be slightly better than Pittsburgh in this key AFC North showdown. Then we head to Vegas where the Raiders play host to the Broncos, two teams on opposite end of the spectrum of the 10-2 mark. Geno had a decent showing last week in their loss, but they have lost consistently. Right now, Denver has been winning consistently, and it's been kind of like the mantra of like the next person up really for that offense has really stepped up. And Benito been a huge factor for that Broncos defense, especially at 10.5 sacks. And he also had that block pass in overtime against the Commanders that sealed the victory for the Broncos. And Bo Nix has quietly had some good numbers. I mean, 2,700 yards plus, 19 touchdowns, 9 picks. It's been really thriving under Sean Payton in this scenario. Yeah, there's definitely some hiccups. It's not a smooth machine whatsoever, but is a machine that will always give you results in the end. Because analytics right now likes him at 70%. The line has it at 7.5. I'm not pushing back against neither one of these. I am taking the Broncos to continue their winning ways and probably edge close to clinching a divisional title. Then we head to Lambeau Field where the Bears collide with the Packers in a key matchup. This is the first of 3 games. They got, or 3 games, 2 games in 3 weeks. There we go. Then these two will be facing off. A lot of people kind of saying, this is part of the season of the Bears that you have to really stress home about. But when they knocked off Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, the league is noticing Chicago. They have quietly started to get a very consistent offense, a overachieving defense, and this is going to be a key factor with the Packers. Now, they notice their past 3 wins, they struggled against the Giants and the Lions, but still end up winning. I think it's going to be a different showdown between these two. I think the biggest factor in this game is Michael Parsons. His presence in Green Bay has really lifted up this Packers defense. and his 12.5 sacks is up there. But the dual-headed attack of the running attack by the Bears and his offensive line really gelling together. I mean, it was evident last week against Philadelphia, and they have a pretty potent defensive line. Caleb Williams was able to struggle, be mobile, scramble, that's where I was looking for, and find a open receiver like Cole Kmet or a Donze or maybe Swift coming out of the backfield. This offense is starting to bolster a bit. But Johnson's got these guys believing that they could be that team once again. Chicago fans are starting to really get behind this team. I've doubted them because I know from past that they've always seemed to let me down. But Caleb Williams, like I said, is doing pretty good. Over 27 yards, 17 touchdowns. Jordan Love, almost 2,800 yards, 19 touchdowns. Almost similar numbers. Running back-wise, about the same as well, both over 700 yards. DeAndre Swift being the leading rusher, but you also have Montgomery also coming out of that backfield as well, really being a nice 1-2 punch. Jacobs being the leading rusher, over 7 with 11 touchdowns. But Caleb Williams also has another feature that he likes winning in Green Bay. But right now, analytics likes Green Bay 69%. The line's at 7. I'm taking the Bears. I'm going with the Bears to win this game. I have a feeling they're going to split their series with Green Bay. Just that's just my take on that. And right now, Caleb Williams, like I said, has a very good advantage in Green Bay. So I'll take the Bears to knock off the Packers at Lambeau. Now it's time to head out to the Valley of the Sun as the Cardinals will play host to the Rams in the NFC West showdown. The Rams got to bounce back from their shock in Charlotte. Arizona continues to lose close matchups the past 2 weeks now, just by 3 points each. Really, it's kind of hampered this team. But the Rams continue to find ways to find other players to step up. Matthew Stafford also had MVP-style season, over 3,000 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, 4 picks. Jacoby Brissett doing extremely well with his offense, over 2,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Which defense is going to step up to really be up there? Arizona's going to make this a game. I'm going to just put that out there now. This is going to be a game. I won't be surprised if this game actually goes to overtime. How these two continue to play against each other. But analytics is all over the Rams at 66%. The Lions at 7.5. I would take Arizona for the points. I think Arizona, like I said, will make this a game. They rally around Jacoby in this offense. And they're like, Kyler who? Him and Marvin Harrison Jr. has really started to develop a nice bond. Him and McBride has a nice thing going as well. But I know Stafford and Nakua also have a loving relationship as well, as Nakua has over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, even with missing some games. But I do think it's going to be close. I probably think it's going to be like a 6-point victory, but I am taking the Rams to win, to get their 10th win of the season, to keep pace with the Seahawks. And then Sunday night, over to Arrowhead as the Texans come in. The surging Texans. These guys just continue to fight. They find ways to win. I mean, after the Broncos got past them by 3, they have been extremely well. I mean, had a comeback victory at home against the Jaguars. Struggled against Nashville, but still end up winning in the last-second field goal. Corralled the Bills. Corralled the Colts. I mean, what's next? And you see what the Chiefs have done the past 3 to 4 games. Lost 3 of them. And win the overtime, their only victory against the Colts. Momentum on the Texans side, that makes things a little more evident that Houston could be the fact that the team that we're really worried about in this one. But right now, analytics is over the Chiefs at 65%. The line's at 5.5 in favor of the Chiefs. I think it's because they're at home. It's the Chiefs. everyone looks at them, but look at Houston. They're a team that I think everyone's kind of overlooked, but they're starting to make noise. I mean, especially with the Jaguars and Colts going at it, they're going to be tied for second if they win this game. Right now, they're at second place / third. They're only one game behind the Colts and Jaguars. If they could win this, they could still have a shot at a divisional title. They're pushing for a playoff run. The Chiefs are struggling for their lives, and I think the Chiefs need to find some things in their favor. I don't know if this is going to be the game for them. I have a feeling they could make this a game. I'm taking the Texans in a surprise win at Kansas City, if you haven't quite guessed where I was going with this. But I think the Texans are a team to watch out for the rest of the season. Things off Monday night with the Eagles and the Chargers colliding out there in SoFi. Both these teams kind of having a very similar type of seasons, struggling in some aspects, winning in others. It's kind of funky right now. Herbert right now is questionable with his hand. I mean, he finished the game last week with his injury and winning, so we'll see how he'll respond to this one. Eagles right now are just struggling, losing 2 straight games, being out-muscled on the line. Both Bears and Cowboys having rushing attacks that just decimated the defense, being staunch in there and stopping the run for the Eagles. So they need to find something to switch the gears up. And then Chargers have really kind of been more consistent than not, but they've definitely had their games where they kind of fell apart, especially the game against Jacksonville where they just got outdone. And Hurts right now, over 25 yards rushing or passing, 19 touchdowns, 2 picks. Barkley, only 744 touchdowns. They're not using him enough. They're not using him like they did last year when they made that incredible run. Maybe teams have found ways to stop him, but they got to get him more involved. For the Chargers, question marks by Herbert, but he has over 2,800 yards, 21 touchdowns, 10 picks. Vidal being the leading rusher of 540. 3 touchdowns. I mean, he really stepped up last week. That defensive line for the Eagles needs to get back into the game, needs to be a dominating force. I feel this game is going to be kind of close, but right now we're looking at Eagles analytically are favored 59%. The lines favors the Eagles at 1.5. I like these numbers. I do think this is going to be a close matchup between these two just because these two teams played, how these two teams struggle, almost the same type of areas. We'll see how one is trying to stop their skid from getting any worse, and one's trying to ensure they don't fall back too far. Even Herbert being injured, look like he's going to play. I mean, he's kind of practicing like he is going to play, so that could be a factor in this game. He does play, and he gets hurt. That could be spelled doom for the Chargers by him taking the Eagles to win on the road to close out Week 14. Well, there you go. Those are my picks. I did stretch a couple of them. Did kind of, like the Texans winning Kansas City, the Bears in Chicago. We'll see how things kind of play out. Like I said, a lot of weird things going on right now in the realm of the NFL. So we'll kind of see how this will play out for the rest of the season. A few more weeks still left to go, and it's going to be a hard press to see how this is going to play out. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of my picks, which one you think I got completely wrong, which one you think I'm, got spot on. The more we interact, the greater chances boosted the YouTube algorithm. The almighty YouTube algorithm must pay homage to with human sacrifices to ensure our frontal cortex is overloaded with brutal information that we may or may not need, to include ramblings from an old man about football or just sci-fi stories. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up. Greatly appreciated. Another thing you do to support this channel is to subscribe. I'm sorry seeing my subscribe numbers kind of go up a bit. I like to see more of you guys jump on this bandwagon and enjoy the ride with me. Best way to do that is to smash that subscribe button, click the bell icon, turn notifications next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time. Chat Sports Talk.